Good evening, dear friends, and welcome. A happy Friday to you, from us to you. Mrs. L joins us, the beautiful, the ravishing. And we're going to take it easy tonight.
Very easy.
We've had a rough day today,
Rough week.
a lot of discuss. I'd love to tell you what we did last night, but we won't. But it was one of the.
Well, you can't say that.
Well, no. I don't want to say where we were, but it was we went to an event, and we'll talk about that. And just a lot of stuff. We're at a good night. It's Friday. I'm a bit screwed up because this weekend was Juneteenth, so I guess today's Friday. I'm so confused.
That confused you? Juneteenth?
Threw me off.
Really?
Didn't that throw you off as well? We had a great pizza today, a plant-based pizza.
So good.
That was just with the cauliflower crust. It was. I did a marvelous job.
You really did.
I mean,
What was that? I just ate it.
I mean, I did.
What was it? Just sauce,
Well,
mushrooms.
it was a great Victoria sauce, which I think is the best tomato sauce on the market today. We use a kind of we do the plant-based crumbles, which is kind of a meaty thing. Some of the wildest mushrooms from this one little market that we go to. They have the funkiest mushrooms, and it was just absolutely exquisite.
Well, I'm happy to be here on a Friday night. It's reminding me of the old days when you did on the radio Ventilation Friday. Remember?
That's right.
Ventilation.
That's exactly right.
This is Ventilation Friday. Everyone.
We're going to be ventilating, as it were, but also in the different. And I've got some surprises for you, which you don't know about.
For me?
For you. But by the way, before we begin, let me just say right now, please make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed to Lionel Nation and also to Lynn's Warriors. Make sure you are, because for some particular reason we find out that people are not.
They're not there anymore.
Yeah, they just whatever. You know how that is. Also, make sure you like the videos and all this stuff, and hit the little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And before we begin, my friends, I want to say a very, very critical word about a great sponsor. I love these folks. And how VPNs and also the ability sometimes to say you are someplace else is very critical, especially when you're taking advantage of various, you can't believe, great airline deals, because it knows where you are, and people do not pay for the same stuff all over the country. So I think you'll find out more about this. Anyway, this is our great friends at Virtual Shield VPN. Do you remember a while back, the world's most famous celebrities and billionaires were outraged because the internet used apps to stalk their flight routes of their private jets? Remember that? And with these apps, anyone could track the celebrities' flight routes nearly in real time. But new legislation by Congress, of course, has made that illegal, allowing the rich and famous to anonymize their jet flight and make it impossible to track them. Well, unfortunately, when regular citizens like you and me complain about our privacy, the government does nothing about it. That's why I protect my personal data with today's sponsor, Virtual Shield, and I absolutely love the security I get with them. Virtual Shield helps protect my private information, browsing history, and internet activity from cyber criminals, hackers, tech corporations, ISPs, and more. It only takes 2 clicks on my laptop or phone to protect me with their flagship tools like Virtual Shield's VPN, which features anonymous browsing, ad blocking, a strict no-log policy, military-grade encryption, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited devices, and much, much more. Thanks again to Virtual Shield for sponsoring Lionel Nation, and be sure to sign up by visiting virtualshield.com/Lionel, or simply click the link in the description below, because every sign up with that link gets you up to 67% off and a 60-day risk-free trial. All right, my friends, thank God we're back. I appreciate we're being back. By the way, you probably don't know this. I've got some brand new, oh my God. I've got some brand new information regarding pictures from Delaware of President Biden preparing for his debate. Is that a cheap fake or a deep fake? That's it. I can't verify that's true.
You know, I try to be highbrow with all of this, but
I can't tell if that's real. I can't tell if that's real.
I don't know.
Here's something which always will enrage Mrs. L. Listen to this one.
Known as the Weingart Tower. It's intended to help people currently without shelter on Skid Row. This
Skid
will be
Row.
LA's
Look at this.
largest
This
permanent
is in
supportive
Chile.
housing project. There is an entire floor of
Humanity
offices for
space.
caseworkers, and the list of amenities is pretty impressive. As you mentioned, there's a gym, an art room, a music room, and a computer room and library.
What?
People living here will enjoy 6
What?
common balconies and a cafe. The $165 million project is receiving permanent financing from Proposition HHH, which voters overwhelmingly passed in 2016. The new tower is also receiving state housing funds and $56 million in state tax credits.
We have lost.
Wait a minute. May I?
Yeah.
First of all, no, nobody voted on this and passed this bill. Second of all, these apartments, I was doing a little research about them the other day, are worth $500,000 to $600,000 each. Where are the apartments for our homeless Americans, our vets, our communities? You know, seriously, where? What? I don't understand. This is just homeless. That's a blanket statement. Which
From Skid Row.
No, but. Well, which homeless are they referring? You know how they change the narrative and the words around. Are they referring to perhaps illegals? That I don't know.
I don't know. If this doesn't in any way forge in people a sense of what has to be done, I don't know what does. But on a greater note, we, luckily, I'm much older than you, but we come from relatively the same generation.
We're practically the same age.
Practically, but I'm older. And in any event,
slightly.
no, I'm significantly. So anyway, but we remember things at the same time. So
Yes.
we watch stuff, and by virtue of our, generation, we look at it and we say, can you imagine this ever being popular? We watched this classic the other night. And, well, watch this.
Airport, 1975.
We howled at this.
How did this ever get me?
This was the worst POS ever.
An all-new motion picture inspired by the film Airport.
New screen excitement. Did it? By the way, just makes you know the Airport.
Was there
1975. An all-new motion picture inspired by the film Airport.
Oh, I guess it was an airport before this. This was 1975.
Based on the novel by Arthur.
Look at this. See, that's not good. See, right off the bat, I'm no expert, but this is probably
The film Airport, based on the novel by Arthur Haley. A dramatic new story with a
That's how Joe Biden gets off the plane now. You probably don't know this.
cast of the screen's greatest names. Charlton Heston.
He was Soylent, silly, was it Dirty Filthy Apes? Soylent Green of People.
They lowered him from a helicopter into the hole. Karen Black was helping him
One of the funniest ones
get into
ever.
the cockpit. She was driving.
Well, we'll get to Karen Black in a moment with that eye of hers. One of the
Oh.
funniest ones was Charlton. Remember the vagina monologues? Charlton Heston doing the vagina monologue. To go about my vagina. It was the funniest. I think SNL did it. Okay? Whose one eye is kind of a little bit.
Forget her eyes. She
Well,
was
her eye-
driving the plane with no
Anyway,
experience with
this
the
is-
whole side of the plane.
Look at the
blown out.
graphics. The graphics package that I have just on an iPhone is better than this. Look at this.
I'm scared.
I'm scared. She was, everybody in the plane was basically all of the pilot, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., Eric Estrada. They were all wiped out when Dana Williams crashed into it.
He was really wiped out in the beginning. Yeah.
George, veteran, served in Patton's, I think, Third Army during the Battle of the Bulge. Here's George Kennedy.
George Kennedy.
My wife and son are up there in that airplane. I'm going to Salt Lake City.
This was the worst. Gloria Swanson on the balls of her career arse towards the end. She's like all but 3 feet tall. She was the big star. And by the way, check out how big.
Myrna one time in
No.
Saks Fifth Avenue
Look who-
years ago.
Look who this is. Linda Blair. And
Child
when you
star.
and when you look at Airplane, the movie, you realize where all of that came from. She was on her way because of a transplant
Linda Blair,
plane.
Well, remember it 50 years ago.
They had radar
And
then.
Hollywood, no, but Hollywood takes liberties with
All of a sudden,
facts and
yeah,
things
all of a
as
sudden
we
they're
know.
cruising along. And what do you two do on your, when you're on your time off? We watch that.
in the middle of the night. Yes.
Gloria Swanson.
Not much of a role for her.
We also loved how airports, you could walk right up to the ticket, right up to the gate, no checking.
I remember that. You don't remember that as a kid?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
could just go and hang out at the airport if you want and watch planes taking off. And there was no security back then.
None whatsoever.
Yeah, the good old days, right?
Meanwhile, back to Wilmington at the Biden house, preparing for the campaign. I don't know if this is real. I can't tell. I can't put my money in. I'm not sure. It might be a cheap fake. I don't know.
Okay.
Excuse me, stewardess. I speak jive. Absolutely.
Oh, the dialogue was so like sexist, and it was
Well,
so,
in this, right.
in Airport 1975.
Yes,
and
Eric.
Joe Biden.
Eric Estrada was horrible. Hey, honey.
He was like, "Hey, mama. Hey, mommy," and all that. Well, that was good to have a couple of laughs over
No,
that.
we're not done yet. We're not done.
Not done.
It is absolutely. You want to talk about reality? As I eructate, I saw this. Remember, we watched this, or maybe you didn't watch it. I watched it.
Well,
I
you
was
watched it. I must have watched it.
mesmerized
Let me
by
see.
this.
What is this?
Mesmerized. You know, I love going to the store. It's my favorite. Grocery
Yeah,
stores
you
or
just-
grocery,
you
as
love
people
it.
say.
You just love it.
This, in that weird kind of nostalgic look, this took me back to, and most people think in the old days, being a checkout person, especially the one we go to, who yells, "How are you?" Anyway,
Well, at least she's out working.
She's out working.
That's what I always say about.
she's out from behind bars as she's working. But she could have, I think, benefited tremendously from this. Watch this. The Front Line, starring Myrna Loy and Gary Matter as Hoover. This is an industrial film. Does anybody miss that? Watch this. Hold on. Okay. Supermarket Institute. How about Baldwin? Isn't this wonderful? This is how to be a checkout person.
Well, I do remember in New Jersey, people working in the supermarkets.
My mother one time said
remember.
her famous line was, "If you can't read, you can't buy soup." And I remember, I know this isn't soup, but it was one of my funniest jokes, and most people didn't get it. But remember Campbell soup? There was just one huge line of red and white.
Well, she had a point.
She had a point.
She had a point.
She had a point.
I remember.
Some people call this a
Listen,
war.
hang on.
War or not, one thing is sure. A daily battle is being waged in supermarkets all over this
A
country.
battle.
A battle for the customer's dollar.
And this is exactly how people look today. Have you noticed that? Exactly. With the scuffies today and their keisters hanging out. Isn't this beautiful?
If a store is to make a profit in the face of
That's
today's
not-
stiff
Not
competition,
good.
everyone in it must give his full effort.
That's a very good point.
But like any battle, victory in this conflict is finally won or lost on the front line.
Did you miss riding in the basket? Yes. Don't you? I do. Remember that? That was always fun. Getting in the basket, being pushed around, even at my age. This is something
With
this is
literally
before
millions of
scanners.
dollars at stake,
I remember.
success is measured in pennies.
Well, watch how good
The checker plays a key role in this daily struggle.
Look how I'm not going to put you through this, but I was mesmerized by this. those were industrial films. They had one on how to, but they had competition. They had two real experienced ones. Did you see the apron they wore? By the way, not very diverse. I know what you were thinking.
Well,
Not very
would be
diverse.
a good industrial film today on a business. What do you think?
I don't know. I have no idea. In any event, so last night we did it. We went to an event, and I'm not going to say where it was, but it was one of the funniest things I've ever been to, I think, in my life. Because we're looking at each other and we're laughing. I mean, I'm laughing. It was nice in some respects because it was people trying their best to get the point across. It happened to be a Republican club in New York, which is very rare, as you can imagine. And don't ask me why, but they had a delegate, a representative from the Bobby Kennedy campaign.
I didn't understand. I was there in observing everyone.
Yeah, we were actually.
So I had to bite my tongue. I was observing some things and focusing, and I did not understand.
Didn't understand
when
any
the
of it.
goal is to engage and empower and educate about the Republican Party and candidates. Why Bobby Kennedy? I really didn't
Follow this.
I didn't get it.
Everybody's pushing for Trump. Bobby Kennedy would pull votes away either from
Who does
Biden
that?
or I don't know what. So this guy shows up. He's a lawyer, and he has his wife with him. I'm not going to mention her name. Something like a name like Ramona. Don't say it, but I mean something like. So
I'm
she's
saying
sitting there,
nothing.
and she's sitting there like this, not saying anything, and he's coming out for reasons I have no idea to explain to the people there. Who's Bobby Kennedy? So he said his father was killed, as you know, and his uncle was also killed. I said, I did not. Oh, that Bobby Kennedy. Oh, and we're having a terrible time getting on the ballot, as you can imagine. And we're looking at each other like, what are we seeing? What is going on here? Another great movement was there was a fellow who was an Asian man who was, I guess, filming what he was doing. He was kind of like filming, I guess, or reading his thing. And I'm not trying to do an Asian accent.
Yeah,
I'm not
don't.
trying. Well, anyway, but he was all of a sudden I will do it in a regular accent. But you imagine a very thick, there's Asian contingent. As he sits there with his phone up like this, he said, and how come when you want to get ammunition here, they got to find out who you are. But in Jersey, he's looking at his phone. I'm thinking, is he reading this? And he's angry. And he's talking about he can't get ammunition here.
Had nothing to do with anything that was being spoken about. He was going on, he was filming it. He was going on and on about the ammunition you can buy in Jersey. I just tuned him out because
it was one of the funniest things.
And then that man got up from what country was he from? He said because
something like
if you do well here in my country, it will help.
It was an African country, and he's running for president. He was running for president in an African country. I swear to God, I don't know what he's doing in this.
But you know what? We're laughing, but
we are laughing.
No, I know, and I'm trying to be a little lighthearted about everything. I can't really laugh these days. Things are serious.
Well, I was laughing.
Well, I was biting the inside of my mouth, so I wouldn't laugh because I don't want to laugh. But
what are we doing?
But that is the problem with what's going on right now. People don't seem to be knowing anything or trying to say, how can we come together with a couple of months?
We were in the basement of a church. It was like an AA meeting, I guess, with people eating, cake. And this guy, he looked like somebody from like a blues, like a
he was dressed like a jazz musician.
Yeah.
With the hat on.
And he's African. He's an African. He's like from an African country, and he's running for for president.
Well, I was glad to see people come together. That's the first step, right? People come together, but then it just devolved from there.
Then before it starts, they read the minutes from the minutes were longer than the meeting. And one guy in the front row turns, he says, by the way, yes, point of order. I never said I was in favor of the Russian Revolution. I said merely it goes to show you what happens when people get together and what a difference they can make. That's my only part about the Russian Revolution. So we got the Russian Revolution. We got a guy from Chinatown who's pissed off because he can't buy ammunition. A guy running for president. I'm not kidding you. Am I exaggerating? He's running for president of some African country. And then another woman said, "What do you mean pro-choice? Wait, you're what?" And finally I said, "Let's go. Let's go."
But here's the thing. They should have used that opportunity, having the community there, to have one statement, a couple of facts that they educated everybody on, that everybody, you take away from this meeting
Wonderful.
and go forth.
One of the funniest.
With this, and it was a waste. And this is the problem going on right now with the Republican
Don't
Party.
say it was a waste. It was a moment of comedy. By the way, look what his white monkey says. Isn't it wonderful to experience these real life absurdities firsthand? Yes.
Well, yes, because you couldn't write them or think of them. They just, I mean, I was biting the inside of my mouth. I didn't want to laugh. And I'm always the type, when we go somewhere, that sits in the front of the room. I just do that. You know how people sit in the back of the room? I always sit right in the front so I can stare at people.
Yes.
And stare them down.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I've been doing since the 8th grade.
This woman came up with a MAGA hat. She hands us newspapers and made no face. I mean,
She was like eating chips at the same time.
She
took the bad.
It was one of the fun. It was so surreal.
Interesting.
But it was America. It was a bunch of people.
At least people came together. They cared about something.
Guy running for president of some African country. This was it. I am not a part of the Russian Revolution. Thank you for clarifying that. But it really made me think. I think we really have to get down and explain some rudimentary aspects of people.
Yes.
Because some have this kind of like that wild Steve Bannon, Alex Jones. Oh, we got it.
Don't. It's too identifiable, I think.
Oh yeah.
But
the difference between sacred and solemn.
I don't know. He started crying, but it was tough for me to keep my mouth shut.
It was the best. And there is being a Republican, by the way, neither of us are Republicans. We are absolutely, just to let you know. And this convinced me probably more than anything else.
Well, I'm an American. That's what I like to say. I am an American.
We're independent, so we can vote. Bull Moose, the Whig Party, the American Party, I think, the American movement. But it goes to show you this anger, and this maybe perhaps, and not ill-conceived, but people are just upset. They can't take this anymore. They can't take it anymore. They can't go through this. And it's a very simple thing. Do you want 4 more years of this? That's the question. It's very simple.
I don't want to laugh at that because the country's in a dire situation
and
condition.
For God's sakes,
I'm
laugh.
Sorry, I can't laugh.
Listen.
After speaking with Derek Maltz today, and he's such a great.
You must watch her Lynn's Warriors.
It'll go up tomorrow.
He is great.
And he's a colleague and he's become a friend.
And we did a wonderful one. Lionel Nation members, you can see it right now. It'll be up later this eve. We did
a little ditty, didn't we?
We did one.
We're just this Friday.
Can we tell them one good news about what you say about the UN?
Yes.
Just watch what you say. Certain algorithms go crazy.
I'm going to.
Do you know what I'm saying here?
What I say, which is tough.
Yes.
I will watch what I say. Now, the UN in a shocking twist. Shocking, because I have not been having anything to do with them as of late. Put out their special rapporteur, they call this woman, put out a report. She's in Geneva right now at the UN conference, that prostitution is violence to girls and women. And they have been nothing. I don't even know if I can say this. They have been nothing, the UN, but promoting sex workers. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah. Everybody hear okay? Can we hear okay? Can you hear okay? Let me know. Just let me know.
So they had a stunning reversal. Now, remember, we work here in New York and also on the national level with many bipartisan groups. And everyone is shocked that this woman, thank goodness, and it's on my Twitter and Facebook, shameless plug at Lynn's Warriors, that she finally she stood up to everybody and said, we have all the studies that show what is being done to women and girls, and it is violence. Okay, so this is good news.
Let me also tell you something that we're seeing. And ladies, maybe you can tell me, you might see this in your hometown or where you live. Last night, we're driving back from this place, by the way, this is Mrs. L's X or Twitter link. And we're driving back in the Yugo. It's a stretch, by the way. Got a lot of looks. And she looks over. She says, "Oh my God, there's a woman in a bathing suit right by Ed Sullivan Theater. Remember that where Colbert is?
Well, I would say she was maybe 19
in a bathing suit,
and she was wearing a hot pink bathing suit. It was not shorts. It was not culottes. It was not
as clothes.
It was a bathing suit.
A bathing suit. We are seeing people walking around half.
This year is bad. Not half.
Really
I've never
bad.
seen anything like this in my life. And I've had other women say this to me without my prompting them or saying anything. Have you noticed the way women and girls are walking around the streets of New York? They're missing their clothes, a lot of them. And it's just...
you know what I'm talking. Travis, Nightingale, Smiling Sue, Cosgrove. You know what I'm talking about. I've seen how you dress. I've seen how you grow. And is Liz here? Oh, you know what she does. But that's another story. We also see people...
No, people have lost their minds.
Lost their mind.
I'm telling you.
Tell us about without mentioning the name of it, the text you got from a friend of yours, what she saw today.
She sent me a text at the end of her workday, walking in a very nice neighborhood, that she saw a young woman in a bra top. She said maybe 8 months pregnant, really tremendously pregnant, but her whole stomach, every inch, was covered in tattoos. And she just said it was just so, and it's, what was it, 97 here today, or thereabouts in the 90s, walking around like practically naked with.
Yes.
And she said, I'm going to throw up. It just looks so awful.
And we have
who
groups of people from other countries. There are other people who are not nice people at all, who are savages. Do you hear me? They are savages, sauvage. And they live, these people live in, and they're from areas in jungles or something, where they see a woman and they think nothing of it. Grabbing, and I mean, this
well, I
is...
see that on the streets when I'm walking behind my sunglasses and I'm taking in again, everything is a focus group. I'm seeing these people stare at girls and women the way they look, and they are savages. I'll just say that.
That's
the word I'm using.
You know, they are going to just to a woman to be raised either because of, not everybody from this country, but these folks, criminals. Who, well, look at this guy who that the Ecuadorian that the Good Samaritan has got.
You brought it up. I'm waiting for you.
In Queens. We don't want to say what he did.
Well, we have a lot of cases lately of they're children.
And this guy recorded it.
And the media, of course, does not report all the details. They just don't. Okay, we know there are a lot more cases like these cases.
And by the by. What's it called? Tren de
Aragua.
Aragua. El tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua. Anyway, forget MS-13. These are the Venezuelans. This is another.
They cut their own. Am I allowed to say this?
I don't know.
I don't know. They're vicious and violent.
We don't know. You know how this thing works.
Vicious and violent towards their own mothers.
Now, another thing we have in this city, just want to let you know. If you come here, if you ever, and tourism is packed. Times Square, where we did the day, downtown, even in the Village, Broome, and I mean,
Soho is beyond. And friends of mine that live down there or have businesses tell me the weekends, you can't even walk on the sidewalk.
There are more people here. But here is the thing. If you come here, what you should be most worried about believe it or not, is being hit or run over by one of these scooters, these electric scooters or e-bikes or whatever it is, from people who are, many of them, involved in delivery. You should see me. If you saw me cross the street, I look like Biden. I'm like this. I look like this. Left. You don't look left. Or you just wait. Out of nowhere, they turn the corner. They have no interest at all in lights, red lights.
It's got to change. Laws have to be enforced. They can't be riding on sidewalks or I'm jumping into buildings so I'm not hit. And I'm not leaving my city. So if anybody says,
and nobody
leave the city, I'm not leaving.
Are you seeing this in your cities as well? Nobody's got a license tag. They've got paper that they go and they just go and they'll just write 5 letters and numbers.
But I do want to say something.
And put it on, and it's with no state, no dealers, nothing, just a piece of paper with just numbers.
People will say to me on a daily basis, well, you live in New York, or this one lives in Chicago. I am here to tell you, if it's not in your town or rural area or city, it is coming your way. You just have not seen it yet. And that is the most frightening thing. All 50 states are affected right now. You just don't know it yet, perhaps.
And people are saying, I'm not going to be in New York City is on my bucket list. Good. We don't need any more people. There are so many great places. If you believe it or not, if you are, how do I say this? If you are into food, you do not, you can't believe food here. You cannot believe it would spend. There are people, this place is so big. There are parts I've never been to, never been there, and vice versa. And it's huge. 8 million just in the 5 boroughs, plus Jersey, Westchester, Connecticut, all this area. It's more people than you can imagine, but it's enormous.
I do have hope because I'm seeing a lot of new businesses sprout up. So that's very encouraging. Also down on Broome Street, Soho, that area, which I love. I'm seeing a lot of new art galleries open up, and I'm hearing about they're coming, the art galleries. So that is very hopeful. We want
bookstores.
And a tremendous bookstore I just saw on West 48th Street. And I stopped in my tracks because it is not a Barnes & Noble. And I thought, great. It's an independent bookstore, large, and it was crowded. And that's what we like.
Hold that thought, honey buns, because we have an important and a critical message from our friends at preparewithlionel.com. It's no longer a question of if something catastrophic is coming, it's when. Now, what are you going to be doing about it to prepare now? Your first step is going to my website, preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. And for a limited time, enjoy their special partner offer. Take $50 off a 4-week or $100 off a 3-month emergency food supply. You decide, but act now. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you and your family prepare. They've helped over 2 million families already, and they're simply the best. These 4-week starter kits provide over 2,000 calories every day, 16 varieties, 25-year shelf life, breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks, everything, you name it. And they're sealed inside 2 rugged waterproof buckets and over 31 pounds of food. But the best deal, what I recommend, is the 3-month supply. But anyway, it's your choice, but act now. Take advantage now, and preparewithlionel.com is where you should go. Preparewithlionel.com. All right, dear friends. Now, a couple of things, too, which is important. Do you remember, tell the folks, the good folks, what it was like to be in the era of Studio 54, when disco was big in the city, when there were skating and roller, all that stuff, when it was really rocking. When you could go in the subway in the middle of the night.
I mean, I was a teenager. I came here at 18, after high school. And although it was always gritty and, we, at least now there's so much to say about this. We have places you can sit, little parks between buildings and benches. We didn't have all that stuff. We didn't have all this fast food. You could go in and get a cup of coffee and, you had to go to a coffee shop and kind of sit down. People weren't walking around holding cups of coffee and water like we see today, but there was something very exciting about it. You had to have your wits about you, be careful. certainly you didn't go on the subway 2, 3 in the morning, but you did if you were out with a whole group of people. The fastest way to get around, go downtown, come uptown, was we all jumped on the subway as a group, and everything was fine. Again, you had to be, careful, but it was just being aware. It was just being aware of not going in certain neighborhoods after dark. It was so exciting at that time. Now, I don't know if that is a combination of because I was young,
Right.
and everything's exciting when you're young and you have your whole future ahead of you. I don't know if it's, when I learned years later that the whole Studio 54, and by the way, don't tell anybody, I was brought in there. I mean, I was underage, but I looked older when I was a teenager. And it was exciting, though. Sure, there were things going on, but just the idea. I remember being on the balcony looking down, thinking, wow, look at all these people dancing and having fun in their clothes and this and that. Like, that was my focus. Later on, we learned there are the rooms downstairs and whatever else.
Well, yeah.
But it was a different, the fashion. Anybody could dress any way they wanted to, and they were not made fun of.
It was
just
post-hippie, pre-AIDS, post-Vietnam, happy,
lots
frivolous.
of art and things like
yeah,
that.
but just dancing. This is something that you will never, ever, ever hear anybody truly explain the importance of disco. During that time, I was not, it doesn't matter what I thought. It was going on at the time. I don't know if anybody, let me ask you something. Do your kids dance? Does anybody dance? We went to a wedding not too long ago and people were jumping up and down. It wasn't even dancing. I don't even know what the hell it was.
Well, they go like this and everybody jumps up and down.
That's not dancing. There was an actual,
we dance.
Oh.
And we really cut the rug.
Yeah. We dance. But it was a time, it was a different time. We were watching a documentary before on
ABBA.
ABBA.
I love them. I'm sorry. I have always loved them. I have always loved, who I really love, the Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees.
I'm sorry. I love the
Do you
Bee
know
Gees.
how big these people were? Do you have, forget what, and people always, I'm not asking you whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter what you like. People always say, but I don't like it. I'm not talking about you. One of the biggest, remember we saw a documentary one time on Guy Lombardo. He was huge.
Well, that was interesting.
And do you know who the greatest entertainer pound for pound ever? When you look back and you go back to the times of Chaplin, but the number one who outdid the Beatles in terms of, not in terms of talent, but in terms of I keep saying pound for pound.
Well, let people guess.
Who was the biggest ever? Who was the biggest ever? Look at this. ABBA was great, and the Carpenters.
Oh, I love. Karen Carpenter's voice was absolutely pure. She could sing.
Great drummer.
Just a musician, and the brother as well. I mean, just musicians. We don't have musicians anymore.
Travis McNevin says it. Bing Crosby was it.
That's it.
Movies, radio, and sheet music. He was unbelievable. There was a song, you watch this. I swear to God, I listened to her and when you look at Barry Gibb and you look at how prolific he was.
I love the Bee Gees.
But how prolific he was and all the songs he did. And even Andy. I like Fanny Be Tender, and he did this song, whatever. What's that song? Don't Throw It All Away. Don't throw it all away on love, on love. And now Barry Gibb, who is the soul survivor, has this things like this. He has this, I don't know what the hell it has. He's got the Sean Connery thing. He's in Miami now. He was a genius.
It's sad. He's the last one of the family left, and he's the oldest
and
one.
His mother was 95 or 6 when she finally kicked.
Honey, she passed just a couple of years ago. She was well into her 90s, I think. But also, so I started in the music business, as you know, with jingles. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately, the creative process of, doing the demo and shopping it with the ad agencies and going into the studio. And I think something most people don't realize is many, many famous musicians played on those TV commercials. We did radio and television and then movie scores anonymously. And they made a lot of good money through the Musicians Union doing that. And I really loved that process. And as we were doing that, that was when they introduced in the very early 80s the synthesizer. And I remember they said, this will replace now the musicians with, certain instruments. And we bought one for the office, a small one. And I just couldn't believe that was going to replace the actual live musician, because there is nothing, I maintain, there is nothing like a live music, live orchestra, or I digress a little bit, or that curtain going up on a Broadway stage, the thrill, the excitement, if there's even a curtain anymore. Most shows don't even have a curtain anymore. But there's nothing like that. You can't replace that.
I used to love to hear the motor of the curtain in a theater when they had a curtain in a movie theater.
In a movie theater.
And the people that you had to, without mentioning, but the people that you had to pick up the phone,
I had to call them.
And they had an answering service.
Did it all. We had an answering service. I did it all. Or some of them that we worked with repeatedly were constantly touring and working, so I called directly. But we had there were no cell phones or anything like that. I'd sometimes be 2, 3, 4 in the morning, worried because I couldn't get, the trombone player. And it was that constant, but it was exciting and it was great. And then you hear the music on a TV commercial. It was very exciting. And the other thing is the art. I'm very happy now that the art studios are coming back downtown and opening up. And I went to a wonderful exhibit, and it was all political cartoons from 50 and 60 years ago. And all of them, I kid you not, all done in black and white, all of them still resonate today with what this artist was saying. And I was I have that Ben Garrison that my friend commissioned or got for me. He's one of the few because it's memes, and Oliphant and others were. But to see actual work, you can't replace that, to be in that presence of, and the artist's son was there. He's also an artist explaining, a lot of his dad's work. And those are the things we have to bring back into, society, the culture, and to kids and things like that.
There was a cartoon. I hate when people try to describe a cartoon because you can't. But there was a cartoon that was so perfect, where you've got one shot, one picture, one moment, not a panel, not a series of panels, but one picture. And it was after JFK died, and you see Lincoln with his head in his hands crying at the Lincoln Memorial. That was it. That's it. That's it.
Tells you everything.
That's it. That's the story. We were listening before. Listen to this. You want to see how wild we are? Wild.
I don't know. They heard about our homemade pizza on cauliflower crust. What can top that? Old
interviews with Nixon. He was brilliant.
Brilliant. He actually was. I said to you, I think he's kind of smart, isn't he? And
he was so. He lived in Saddle River, and he just was kind of modest. He just,
they lived on something like, it was up from Bloomingdale's, East 64th, in a townhouse. And then they moved to Saddle River, New Jersey.
Saddle River, right.
Something like
Saddle Brooks and Hillsborough. Right. But there he was. And we remember those. He was eloquent. And as much as we think Donald Trump's great and everything, nobody was like that. There hasn't been
they don't speak like that anymore at all. So to hear that.
Yeah, you know who was a great speaker? You might not like his morals or this. Obama did it. Clinton to an extent, whatever. But he was brilliant.
There it ended. Yeah.
When you really had somebody who said, "This guy knows." And the last time we've never had anybody even remotely close to like a Adlai Stevenson, who was known for being. I'm just into nostalgia.
But let me ask you something. So we have this debate very soon.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that's going to be like?
Well, from what I'm seeing in terms of the preparation, I don't know. I think from what I hear, and I don't know for sure.
I was actually trying to be a tad serious here, and you ruined that.
Sorry,
but I don't. Wow. I mean, Joe did the State of the Union. Remember that? And
first of all, debates don't mean anything.
They mean nothing. But of course, they'll make this.
You have these moments that are just the best debate I ever saw. It wasn't even a debate. It was Joe Lieberman and Dick Cheney They were like two gentlemen talking.
I
It was
remember
the
that.
most beautiful. Get a hold of that.
I remember
They were
that.
saying, well, that's a good point there, but my good friend, Jake, you made a very good point about. I said, forget these two. I'll take these. I want this. I want an adult. I want an adult. Reagan with well,
Well, he was off the.
I would never make, and he was waiting for this, make a point out of the age, the youth, and inexperience of my opponent. And poor Dan Quayle with the.
I always felt sorry for Dan Quayle. I don't know why.
Dan Quayle was
but
Niels Bohr compared to this jadrul we have now.
Oh my goodness! But I'll be watching it because I want to see these two together.
I would have loved to have
and
stood up last night and asked the guy running for president of some African country, the Chinese dude with the ammunition, the other one, and say, let me ask you a question. Who runs the country? Who? And let them argue that. Oh, I also saw something, a picture, an interview with the Shah of Iran talking about the Jewish lobby, not the Jewish lobby, actually the Israeli lobby. You got to hear this. You got to hear this. This was then.
Where do people hear that?
It's on 60 Minutes. It was
So we can give
60
people
Minutes
some
Rewind.
resources.
YouTube. YouTube is the greatest thing in the world. I'm telling you. I was in today to the American policy, the American school, the American Henry Clay, tariffs, national banks, and infrastructure. This is what they cared about. There was a different country then. I'm listening to this. I'm thinking, this foundation. Imagine having a house that is so riddled with termites. You can say, well, I got to prop this part up first, but this could fall at any moment. This may look good, but we are really, this system, it would take 20, 30, 40 years of Donald Trump to make maybe an impact. It's rotten to the core. The system is rotten. This is not Democrat or Republican. Don't kid yourself. Oh, it's going to be great. He wins. But what is extant? It's horrible. We need a leadership, but we need a country that appreciates intelligence. We don't anymore.
I don't know if you were listening to me today. When I did my interview with Derek Maltz, and if you're not familiar, again, the interview will be up tomorrow. Lynn's Warriors ran the DEA, extensive law enforcement career. Now he's with Tom Homan, Border 911. I will recommend that site for everybody because people need to start educating themselves and get involved.
Do it right now.
Border911.com. They will be doing July 13th an event in DC with fentanyl because we have Fentanyl Awareness Day coming up on August 21st. They'll be in New York City, Long Island City. They're going to go around. Sarah Carter from Fox is part of it. Our friend Jason Jones is part of it.
He's good.
These are colleagues of the Warriors. And technically, and this was such a sad thing to hear from him, right now, we really do not have a country because we don't have borders. We just have open borders. He said, technically, we actually do not have a country.
Makes sense to me.
And it hit me as he's telling me this, but it makes complete sense. But that being said, we as Americans and taxpayers and all of our history, we have to, and our kids and grandkids and family members, we have to take our country back appropriately any way possible. And if that just means you go out and vote, we have to try our hardest to do what we can do because we're here. We don't have a choice. We cannot allow what has been going on. I mean, this is sheer craziness. And when I ask all the so-called experts, men, women that have been working in all different fields from tech to, drugs, border, everybody we work with, I will say, why is this happening? Why? And everybody will say the same thing. Nobody knows. Well, I think we do know, but we'll leave that for another program. It is our duty to take back what we can take back. And if you can't take back anything in your own home, make it right. In your own community, in your own circle. That is the best we can do because this is just sheer craziness and criminal.
But it was crazy don't kid yourself though. Sometimes I was going back and I'm still looking at the insanity of Vietnam. I look at people like
Yes.
I still
But
50 how we did that with all of these smart people there. It's another
let me jump in. There's always been craziness. There's always been a deceptive media when you study it and analyze everything and parse everything. However, we never had on our soil like we have now on a constant daily basis.
Oh, yes.
We never had, even if we didn't know the education system, we never had the way they were attacking our children through libraries and books and teachers unions and things like that. We never had open borders like this. We're starting to see the effects with all the criminal, with all the retail theft. There's always been theft and shoplifting, not organized crime rings, right?
Our good friend George Lynn says there is no accountability. Change starts there.
That's the tagline. That's it. Change starts here. No accountability. That's it. Open borders. We have no country. That's what I wanted to hear last night. That I wanted somebody to put forth some easy things like that, taglines people could take home over, because I'll tell you, these Democrats, they do it. They're very well oiled. They put out the agenda and every one of them sticks to it over and over and over again.
Right.
But I'm talking about like city council members. I'm talking about on that level. I'm not talking about on the occupant of the White House. I don't even like to say that because I'm not really convinced myself, in my opinion. There is an occupant to the White House.
No,
but,
there is not.
If
the closest we ever came to this was Woodrow Wilson, who had a stroke, and I think what we're seeing right now is something similar to that. But in any event, it is so sad to hear the. I don't even know where you want to go first. The good news, and this is one thing. The good news is that I think prototypical corporate statist media are dead. We listen to a lot, and it may not be perfect, but this new band with Breaking Points and even the Hill. Well, I'm not sure about the Hill now, but independent folks. Great, what Judge Knapp is doing, what Rogue is doing, what Lex Friedman is doing, what a lot of people are doing, and Tucker and others. It doesn't really matter. Forget what they've said individually. There is this new wave where he can watch 2 million, 5 people will watch this. There is hope. There is a new group of citizens where being a part of this is cool again, and he's making it okay to ask questions. And that is something that we never had. These people don't recognize it. How many people do we talk to who say, "Hey, why don't you go on the radio again? WABC." I say, "Are you kidding me? That's like short wave. I'd rather go on something that's like a baby monitor for a nursery."
But when this is something where we have to train the children, mainstream media, so they're brought up now. There's a group of people stuck there. They do across the country listen to mainstream media or cable news. That is what they follow. That is their routine. So we have to wean them off it and give them alternative sites, good vetted information, and get our young people not to look at.
What do I watch when I walk by and there's a TV, and because you'll scour just to hear it, because you'll get some good. Fox will have some good stuff, but I see that morning crew, and I swear to God, I say, would you look at it? It's so sad, because I scream for this idea of people who appreciate complexity. By the way, do you remember in the old days when we would go to Bed Bath and Beyond, and they had the My Pillow section? There's this one area where they had all the My Pillow products.
Yes, I remember.
Big, and they were doing great. It was like right around COVID and sort of. And anyway, when all this TDS business came about, when all of a sudden, lo and behold, they went after Mike Lindell. And I still don't know what he did that was so hard. I still, other than being, a Trump supporter. And they went after him and went after him. Well, guess what? Every time we drive by, Bed Bath & Beyond, gone. Harmon, which we kind of like.
Well, they're
that's
online
gone.
now, Bed Bath & Beyond.
They're
have an
online.
online store.
But they
brick and mortar store
closed. But you know who's still around? That's right. MyPillow.com, promo code LINE. All right, dear friends, it's time yet again to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know, a free gift. It's a tautology. So sue me. But first, listen. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Listen to this. Premium MyPillows, King and Queen, MyPillow 2.0, MyPillow bed sheets, the lowest prices ever. Sandals, slides, and slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets. Simply and absolutely the best. It is unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel or call 800-645-4965 and watch how fast Mike answers the phone. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. Simply the best. Simply and absolutely the best. Best indeed. The best indeed. What are we going to do tonight? What are we going to watch?
Well, I think we should go a little crazy on a Friday night. I think there's a Marilyn Monroe documentary. I kind of want to check into that.
Why is she's so sad? They whacked her. I bet you it was either Bobby Kennedy or Peter Lawford with the old suppository bit.
I want to check it out. I'm working on a few different things, so I like to look into what documentaries are happening, how they're made, who the writers are, things of that nature. And I don't know, but I think there's another episode of Acapulco.
You love that.
I know. I end up staying up all night watching 4 or 5 episodes when I binge. Pretty much all night.
What else did you watch?
I don't know. It's just when I start something, even if I don't like it, I like to finish it. As opposed to not watching any more of it, because I'm always in the hopes it's going to tie up, it's going to get better, it's going to end up the storyline.
But I wake up at 3, 4. We've got on Mannix or Cannon or I love this. Remember when we thought William Conrad was so fat? Remember we thought Jackie Gleason was like, this is the fattest man. Nothing. There was a time in this country where around the turn of the 20th century, people would travel hundreds of miles to see a 300-pound man. It was a fat man at the carnival, the freak show. 300 pounds. There's kids 300 pounds. It's incredible.
Well, those are things we have to be working on as a society.
Well, I would think so.
People getting healthy, eating healthy, exercising, cutting out the soda. I see people walking around drinking kids out of cans, and got to get rid of all that.
Look at this, my friends. PBS 10 p.m. Roots of Comedy tonight. Howie Brown. We're going to do that. I like that. The Roots of Comedy.
What did we watch the other night? I'm doing that a lot now. We watch something, and the next morning I say, what were we watching?
Always.
Like, what? Just lately we're doing that.
That was good last night.
No,
that thing that we were watching.
No,
this is what we do. I don't know.
We watched something good about 2 nights ago.
And then I can't remember because I watch other stuff too. I listen.
We watched the Gene Wilder.
Yes. He was wonderful. And not finally, Gilda's place right down from Film Forum, they closed. I guess now it's something else. For years, it was Gilda's place.
Gilda's place for cancer. And
on Varick right there.
And now it's gone.
We went one time, one of our early periods of
on Varick Street. Is that what you're going to relive?
Yeah, one of our early, as we were
ages ago, when
we were
Varick
getting
Street,
to know each other.
Varick Street was.
We walked into this place.
Then.
We walked into this place. It was the fun. We laughed like hell. It was this little pizza joint, and we were, for some reason, everybody got theirs but ours. You go, what the hell? What's going on? And they were taking notes. Well, that was another one. But when we were the last one served.
I wanted my pizza.
And we laughed. We said, what is this? What's going on? I'm sorry. It's a new machine. It's a new machine. There's 3 people here. What do you need a machine?
Those people came in an hour after us. They got their pizza.
The next
it's horrible.
week,
I'll never do that again.
They had a shootout there. There was an auxiliary cop that was killed. I mean, it was
bad. Running around with a machete.
Yeah, in our place. I mean,
they closed it. They boarded it up. There were bullet holes in the windows. Terrible.
Very, 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 very sad.
That
was a harbinger. That was Vatic
of what's to come. Oh my goodness! Wow.
We also did some other
But it was very shady down there then. Now it's more homogenized and built up and things like
we're very how do I say this? Very, very I don't say ordinary, but like little things that we do, little projects, like just going to buy stuff, going to a store.
Well, we do live in New York City. There's a lot of wonderful.
But we do, but we'll go.
things.
Yeah, we'll go. But what we really, but if somebody says, I really like to do, I really like to go to the store. I like to just spend a day just doing stupid stuff. That's when you can tell you love somebody. When you like stupid things, you have to go out and do some, large thing. Just go in the store and laugh.
That. I don't want. We've done all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
we've done it all.
Wild.
I like
wild. I'm not proud of it.
I like going to farms. The farm season is coming. The Jersey
can't
farms.
wait for that.
So July, that's July and August. That's good for all the corn and peaches and
corn and tomato. But corn is I eat.
You really do eat a lot of corn.
I swear to God.
Really? Why do you like that so much? Why do you like that corn so much?
To microwave it in the husk.
In the husk. You do the husk. Because I clean the microwave.
Organic.
Like little silk threads are left in the microwave.
Unbelievable. There's something that just hits me.
You love the corn.
So in any event, look at this. Here we go. We've got look at this. My pillow tells me all the guys. Look, we got Raphael here.
Why don't you ask people what's on their minds on this Friday night? After all, it is Ventilation Friday.
What's the biggest thing on your mind? Give me one word. One word that explains something that you want to say. Something that you
let the people speak.
Yes. I'm asking. I'm trying to inspire them. There's a little bit of a lag time there.
Oh, yes.
Woof. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Woof.
Blackberries. Never been a blackberry fan.
Raspberries, blackberries. Yeah, you're into blueberries.
Trudeau. Daniel's into Trudeau. Who is a commie? Castro's boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a popcorn thing. By the way, one of the best ways to make popcorn is one of those microwave, those Tupperware things. Just nothing on it. Nothing. No oil.
Maker, honey.
No
that
butter.
That little
3 minutes, right?
Maker.
4 minutes. That's it. Put nooch. Put whatever you want in it. You don't need oil to boil it. Oh my God. I love it. Robot calls, oranges. Paula's dead. Billy Shears. We had a friend of ours years ago who was so into the Paul is dead and fall. And I was like, okay, no, you don't. She really.
Yeah, she went over the edge.
She really.
She went over the edge.
And I said, I hate to break it to you, but whoever this Paul is, I think he's more talented than the other Paul. This guy's great. He did Wings. I loved this.
I loved Wings.
I like Wings better.
I loved Wings.
I like Wings better. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do too. I like Wings better myself, come to think of it.
Adam says, in my college dorm, we used to use popcorn to cover up the marijuana smell. Remember Ozium?
Like Jiffy Pop? Remember Jiffy Pop had that smell?
Yes.
Like
that weird
it had
kind
the
of
smell. Like,
yes.
Like I don't know what it was.
Right.
Buttery,
there was a particular chemical or something that they used in that. Cantaloupe. Beautiful.
Cantaloupe.
There is something to me, evidence of a God, when you get to see why do people, for example, I gotta say something. Brian Hayes, why are you putting Josh I mean, seriously, this is annoying. It's a free country, but every now and then we'll have somebody who just says one thing. It's like, we see you. Well, my question is, why?
Well,
what's your point? No, we see you. I got it. But I'm just wondering, we're having fun, and we just keep hitting that. I'm just curious. It's a free country. I'm not upset. Sometimes people look. We don't have any rules. Sometimes people are just not good, or I'm afraid they might kick into some weird algorithm. But they're not even a good scammer. That's a spammer, rather. It's not even funny. It's not good. It's not.
Well, that's the point. They just do it to do it, perhaps.
No, but Brian, it's okay if you think it's funny, but just, work with us. Okay, we got it. Still, one of the best ones ever was a guy who called up.
Oh, homegrown tomatoes.
Oh, yes. And the smell of the leaf and the tomato itself, that smell combined, the leaf is just There's sometimes the smells of things. It's evidence of God. I'm serious. All right, my friends. I think that's it. Isn't she great? Isn't she fantastic?
Well, thank you for having me tonight with your wonderful, wonderful people.
Family.
On a
Well,
Friday night.
you're-
We
you're-
just felt like sticking together on this Friday night and
Absolutely. Now we're going to watch
talking a little bit.
We're going to watch our Marilyn
We're
Monroe.
going to get away from all of this. And
This is Mrs. L. Please follow her YouTube. I need you to follow. I want to have everybody here make sure you follow her on YouTube. She's got some incredible stuff. And by the way, here, folks who are following Lionel Nation, we have our interview later, which will drop later on this eve.
that.
Lionel Nation members always get them first. All right. Thank you so much, Edwin. Thank you so much, Stanley. Smiling Sue, the usual suspects. Hillbilly. Look at this. Darlene's there. Nightingale. Nightingale is nothing but trouble.
I think
Laura Floyd.
Nick, is that Nick Nightingale?
Yes, Nick.
I think Nick is the one that under my comments section will put for the algorithm, which I always put a thumbs up or a heart because I appreciate
Oh, they're
a
the
comment
best. They're
kind
the
of
best.
thing. But I do want to encourage
There's
everybody.
Gloria Hanley.
You can sign up for my newsletter if you go to the website linswarriors.org.
Yes.
No, because I want people to really, with all of this going on, people are overwhelmed, blocking it out. Honey, I'm making an
I'm sorry.
little speech here at the end of the evening. I want to help everybody. Easy lifting, as I like to call it, to share information you need to know
Indeed.
about your families, your kids, your grandkids. So please sign up. You can go to the website, e-newsletter, and thank you. Thank you all for those of you who have been kindly following me, watching the videos, making comments, donating, offering volunteering. Thank you. I'm very humbled and honored by it. And I'm very happy to be here with you tonight. On
Oh,
Friday
indeed.
night, our Friday night date.
Our date. Let me give you Mrs. L's YouTube or her. Let me see. I've got this. Let me see. You've got your. I'm looking for your.
My newsletter?
Yeah, I've got it up here somewhere. It's mine, Lionel, mine newsletter.
Well, you can just go to the
It's somewhere. Here.
website.
Whatever.
And you can
Anyway.
scroll down. It says e-newsletter.
Come here, sugar.
Yeah,
All
give me
righty.
some sugar.
Thank you so much, my friends. And
Thank
thank
you,
you, dear
everyone.
friends. Thank you. Thank you also. White Monkey. Can you say that? George Lenz, Howie Brown, and his band of renown. Thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow. At 8 a.m. Don't forget. Until then, my friends, I always say. And by the way, tonight was just fun. And just remember, whenever you're feeling bad, whenever you're feeling kind of blue.
Come on over.
No, just remember this. Just remember this. That's it. Just to bring you back. Just the screams do something to me. Call me wacky. All right, my friends. See you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.